Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about another shift in the PvP meta, and I wanted to address the defense glitch that was supposedly going around that's now been declaimed. I didn't even expect there to be a significant change anyway, even if the 50% defense buff on this passive wasn't applying, because 50% defense, even if it's on Thanos, isn't really that significant. You got to go through all of the indicators on the right to see where the passive applies. You have to go and do the research before making bold claims that a character isn't working properly and is glitched. What hasn't been addressed by any content creators at all is the significant change in the Conquest CTP. The Conquest CTP has changed significantly, and I'll discuss it later in the video. However, let's talk about the shift in the meta. Thanos is not completely dominating yet, but I think that he's a very, very close number 3 in the meta. And the reason why he's number 3 is because his kit is perfect. He has, decreased damage received by 55% from 50%, which was what it was initially, right? This first skill ignores targeting. Its cooldown time is every 4 seconds. It removes buffs, and it's not the incapacitation type. It's the removal of all buffs from the target no matter what. He recovers HP. It penetrates 80%, and it removes all debuffs. So he could spam this skill, land on it with a bunch of other skills that could be canceled. And on top of that, this skill by itself has enough power to one-shot someone like Wolverine. And Thanos has so much power overall that he can even bypass steel on some builds, right? His second skill doesn't have anything, but it's a full iframe that's powerful. It can be mid-canceled, and you can even land on it. So this skill is pretty strong. This skill is amazing because it looks fantastic, and it's got super guard break, and it could be canceled completely, and it increases attacks. On top of that, he's got a fourth skill that has time freezing, which is okay, incapacitation as well, and another attack stat bump, and it could be canceled immediately as well, or it could be landed on, and it's very powerful. And then this skill also has incapacitation. It's incredibly strong. It ignores enemies' damage decrease. It makes him immune to all debuffs again, and it gives him invincibility. The only thing then he would be very susceptible to is Reflect, but, CTPs can easily, get rid of that tactic, right? His leadership is crazy. It's just, he doesn't have a revive still, but he has a perfect kit. So much so that one-on-one, he can take on anyone he wants. But because he doesn't have a revive, he can't solo. So what's the best CTPs for him, right? Because he needs defense. So you're definitely thinking Conquest. And I would agree that Conquest is probably the #1 choice. You could try out a lot of different CTPs on him, but the way that he gets the most benefit out of CTPs, the CTPs have to be very, very specific, and they haven't changed from previously. So the new Conquest, it still makes him susceptible to like brute force, like a lot of canceled skills, like manually, which I think is okay. Like, they nerfed Conquest to me in a good way, because they're now not making it insanely OP to a point where a character is indestructible, right? But they negated the reflect for wall like much more aggressively. So this benefits Thanos even greater. On top of that, it gives him the defense and the extra heal necessary to survive like most skills, like single skills, like Warlock's second, like Silver Surfer's third, and his fourth and his fifth. Thanos is a counter to defensive builds because Thanos does not need extra attack at all. He is not a greed toon whatsoever. He is very much a character that needs defensive CTPs. So Conquest is now number one. Authority is a very close second, and the steal effect still is one of the best effect stats on him. The only problem with it is that, you know, he could much more easily be countered by reflect. But he gains extra damage from accumulation. In some cases, authority works better than conquest. Like, for example, you want to use a CTP of Conquest if you're going to pair him with Colossus. But if you really, really don't, and if you want to rock him with triple meta, Brilliant Authority is the way to go. For sure. Because he can pop off the steal pretty quickly against most meta. Maybe not like Adam Warlock, like Spider-Man, but for everybody else, yeah, he should be able to get off the steal, for sure. Third choice would probably be Regen, because I think Regen is untested, and the penetration stat gives him an advantage to even further cancel your skills in additional time. On top of that, it gives him the shield that's pretty good with his accumulated defense stats, and he's definitely going to benefit from the heal, and he's definitely going to benefit from guard break immunity. You cannot give him an egg. He does not benefit from an egg. He will die, and he will get regular guard broken, and you don't want that. By the time the vitality is about to come off, he will probably have died before that. And on top of that, it doesn't help reflect either. Now, he's third spot. The second spot is a very close second spot, and it's still Silver Surfer, probably because of the revive and the native reflect. And on top of that, he's a symbiote, so he gains the benefit from Agent Venom. He's definitely number two for various reasons. His gameplay mechanics are very, very similar to Adam Warlock. Like, you know, even his first skill compared to Adam Warlock is pretty much the same. It doesn't do very much. The second skill, you know, it's a full iframe, and it's pretty powerful. His third skill is extremely powerful, but you have to know when and where to use it. Like, when are the best opportunities to use it? And there's two ways you could use it. As a damage proc for your other more powerful skills, or you could cancel your other skills and land on this with a perfect timed counter. That way you get all of the benefits from all of your attacks. On top of that, it has incapacitation, but it doesn't remove all buffs like Warlock's 2. His third skill is powerful, especially while he's rotating his other skills, but his overall attack on his third skill is not as powerful as Warlock's. And many characters can tank through it, like even like a tier 4 Adam Warlock can, a Thanos can, a Jean Grey can, a Hulk can, maybe even a Spider-Man with debuff removal can. So you have to know when to use this skill. It has 100% penetration, which is fantastic. It's the highest penetration there is, so you'll always penetrate no matter what. You know, Silver Surfer has native reflect and it ignores targeting, but I'm telling you right now, the reflect is affected more from a range. So you want to be closer when you're using this skill and trying to gain the benefits from reflect. Okay, it's just a little key point that I'm giving you. It removes all debuffs and it gives damage immunity. So I think on top of that, you know, with the removal of all debuffs, it probably gives super guard break immunity for that same amount of time, like 4 seconds. This skill is actually very, very powerful. It has incapacitation again, so there's 2 skills, and Silver Surfer uses them together, you know, 3 then to 4, so they both have incapacitation. It will eventually remove your buffs. It will. Like, Silver Surfer will eventually remove your buffs with both of these skills combined. And penetration lingers, so this fourth skill becomes insanely powerful. It can do paralysis, so after the second revive of your tunes, you will be affected by the paralysis. It gives invincibility and it gives an attack bump. It's a skill that could also be insta-cancelled as well. And 5 could also be insta-cancelled, but it has 2 separate parts. And his range on this skill is like at least 75% of the map, or like 65% of the map. So you have to be extremely careful on manual play when you're avoiding this skill. Skill is insane. It does accumulation. You can cancel it immediately or like delay it by like half of a second, and it's insanely powerful. All of his skills combined on top with the native reflect, you know, it easily makes him number 2. And he's still arguably able to solo. He's way more versatile than Thanos in terms of how to equip CTPs on him. The best CTP is Conquest. And with the new nerf buff that Conquest got, it actually benefits him more, but you can more easily kill him now. He isn't that hard to kill. That doesn't mean that he's not number 2. The perfect build, it makes him very difficult to kill. He does get affected by reflect a lot, so you want brilliant Conquest on both the tunes, right? Thanos and Silver Surfer. It can't be mighty. You have to have brilliant for you to get the best defensive buff you can possibly get. The second choice would be refinement. If he has a double support like Agent Venom and Colossus, he gets guard break immunity by having super armor and debuff removal. So for the 12 seconds, he does have guard break, and the vitality gives him super guard break, and it gives him extra heal, which he's kind of lacking on his kit, which is another key element that Warlock has over him, which makes Warlock number 1 still. As I was saying, refinement is a good choice if you're rocking Silver Surfer with a support. If you're not rocking Silver Surfer with a support, you probably would want to go with Conquest, or you may want to go with a third choice option if you're pairing Silver Surfer in a triple meta, which a lot of teams are going to be with. Now, the third choice option, it's a tie between Authority and Greed. Now, the reason why I'm pairing these two as a tie is because despite the addition of the buff of Conquest, where it negates Reflect on Wall a lot more, Authority can still be beneficial when you're reflecting from non-Conquest tunes. So, like, you know, Authority on Silver Surfer is great for, like, characters like Jean Grey, when he's fighting somebody like maybe Mighty Authority Thanos, or a Mighty Authority or a Mighty Refinement Silver Surfer. You can get benefits from Authority that way with the Reflect, but the problem with it is that since Authority has invincibility, it can negate your counter. you want to trigger the counter because the counter does extra damage, it does double the range, and it ignores iframes and reflects for longer. So you do want to trigger the counter. That's why I would recommend Greed over Authority if you have a tier 3. If you have a tier 4, I'd probably recommend Authority slightly more to put like in a triple meta. But Greed can be a good choice because Greed gives Silver Surfer enough attack to kill a lot of brilliant Conquest builds with Colossus. So, I'm doing that at tier 3 and I'm showcasing that later on in the video. It's underrated and it's not tested a lot, but I've tested it enough to know that Greed is definitely beneficial on Silver Surfer, especially since Silver Surfer's kit is almost identical to Adam Warlock. Regardless, I'm going to be taking you into a lot of matches, and you can reflect on how I face the toughest opponents I could find with my 5 teams. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So I'm going to be taking you through various teams fighting, Conquest Surfers with Colossus. Because to me, those are the strongest teams to kill. And, these teams are subject to change, obviously, because these clips were taken before the Thanos update and before the Conquest change. So there's a lot that occurred during that time. However, Silver Surfer hasn't changed a lot. He's still pretty much the same, but you can actually kill him more with brute force now, and I'll showcase that to you as it goes along. So, as Silver Surfers with 95% defensive CTPs come in, you now want to build old meta with, attack-minded CTPs that potentially one-shot or two-shot the character. Like, for example, Spider-Man is not really going to be as efficient with Authority anymore, and he probably needs Greed way more than he did before now. But, for example, now, like, Conquest Wolverine or Conquest Warlock may be a second choice CTP instead of a first choice. And, Warlock and Silver Surfer are still going to be the main meta teams. And, Wolverine's kind of been replaced. You can still rock Wolverine in a very efficient triple meta, but you can also rock Thanos there too. And you can get pretty much the same result. So there's plenty of counters against Silver Surfer. He's not the hardest in the world to kill. And, I've had characters like Spider-Man kill him, Hulk kill him, even with Colossus support. I've had Jean Grey kill him. I've had Ghost Rider kill him. You just need to combine a couple of skills on manual, and you need to watch out for, you pretty much need to watch out for the reflect. But other than that, you can bypass a lot of his skills, and you can have, a good 6-7 seconds to time your proc. So here I already screwed up, and you can see the hefty defense of this Conquest. That defense has decreased significantly since the update that arrived very recently. So that may have been the glitch going around that people were saying that made it seem like an illusion, and they were thinking, oh, it's just the super armor, but it wasn't. It's just the change of Conquest, and Conquest is going to be the top CTP choice for the top teams and for the top builds with the top cards. So, Thanos may be under par for you because you're maybe equipping a mighty Conquest, or a mighty authority instead of a brilliant. And, you know, it definitely varies. You know, damage for each account varies. Here, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I got that off with one skill, because sometimes I need to do 3 cancel 5 with Warlock instead of just the 5th skill. And, you know, well-timed counters work. Like, Warlock is still a good counter even with energy. You know, another thing is that, you know, the range on Silver Surfer's 5th skill can be very intimidating. Even on his 4th skill, directly, like, in front of him, right? But you can come up from behind Silver Surfer, and the range of the skill, at least for the 4th skill, may not apply. So here, I could kill him in that instance. That was an example of the old Conquest. So the rotations of Silver Surfer vary, right? Maybe when you just start to spawn him, you may want to use 5 first and then 3 to land the counter. But there in that fight, I used 3 as a proc and I used 5 as the main skill, and then I used 4 later. Because Silver Surfer, like I said, he has a lot of rotation versatility, and he has a lot of CTP versatility as well. So that definitely makes him slightly above Thanos, who, in my opinion, is very, very specific. But here we're going through like the triple meta, and it's just with Silver Surfer for now. I'm going to be fighting Thanos a little later, but in a triple meta, he's very killable, especially with Conquest. It's the Colossus teams that are very, very strong, and you have to watch out for. And maybe like Brilliant Authority builds in a triple meta, because the Steel can combine very, very well with a Brilliant Authority. So, you know, this person I'm fighting, he's changed his teams a lot. And he was also rocking a Silver Surfer double support with a Conquest. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to fight that team again, but his Silver Surfer was actually unkillable at that point, you know, except with maybe Reflect. But yeah, this person in the triple meta was rocking Refinement, and it's a decent choice, but it's more susceptible to Reflect, as well as with Authority as well. But Destroyer is like a cheat code. Yeah, you could see the toughness of Conquest. It's extremely tough. But this is before the Thanos update, so keep that in mind. And for Cynic Alex also saying, on top of it being a glitch, right, that Farmer Thanos was completely useless in PvP. Yeah, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was maybe like top 6 or top 7, but he wasn't completely useless. I mean, I haven't tested him since the update, but Thanos was my go-to killer for Wolverine. I built a whole team around him with Mr. Sinister before Silver Surfer came out. So, you know, this is why you don't get your PvP advice from a PvE player. You know, not to sound rude or nothing. But anyway, you know, the Thanos wins uniform is a much more significant upgrade, obviously. You know, remember to make use of all of Silver Surfer's iframes. If you're using Silver Surfer, right, and your canceled skills of 3-4-5 or 5-3-4 aren't enough, then you can always try to land on 2, because it's an iframe. And you can do the same thing with Thanos as well when you're playing with them on manual. So, there I can kill him with Captain America. I've done it a couple of times. I'm rocking this team, and it's still proving that Warlock is number one because he could solo still. He could still one-shot to this day at tier 3, which is wild to me. It's just he's very tricky to use when you have a native reflector. He's very tricky to use when he's going to get one tapped and he's completely open, right? So we have to use him very, very efficiently. Silver Surfer is very good against Wolverine when timed right. The more damage, the better, in my opinion, for many, many characters. Carnage with refinement, nobody's ever going to use in timeline battle ever again. So why don't you just try with a greed or try with an energy? That could make Carnage more efficient while he still dies anyway, right? I would rather just have the character get the kill faster before I die, because that's a good tactic to use. So now we're moving on from Silver Surfer a little bit, and we're going into Thanos, and these are the tunes that I kind of use to kill him, and, I'm going back and forth with him there with Thanos. Like, my Thanos is significantly weaker in terms of offense, so I would rather have somebody like Spider-Man kill him, or maybe I'll just use, like, an attack support against him, because, honestly, my main issue with Thanos has been other Thanoses. Everybody else has pretty much been obliterated on manual. On auto, it's not going to work for everybody. You need a perfect build to rock auto. You can't have like a mighty authority or a mighty conquest and expect to rock auto and solo. That's just never going to happen. So understand, like, if you do want to use him in a team, you could use him with decoys, and you're going to have to switch to those decoys when he's about to die during critical skills, like Wolverine's 5th, Warlock's 2 in some cases, Spider-Man's 4, whatever it is. So there, Wolverine can still kill him, Destroyer can get the reflect if you don't trigger the wall. If you do trigger the wall and then you die and then try to get the reflect damage, it won't work. So that's been a buff that's been applied to Conquest. I think this team has an authority, a brilliant authority, and I don't really recommend brilliant authorities for support teams because they could still be bypassed. So, like, Spider-Man can still bypass the invincibility and kill him without the steel triggering. Same with anyone's second revive. So Silver Surfer's second revive, Warlock's second revive. He can combine all of his skills and one-shot Thanos before the steel comes off. So, and they're like a well-timed counter when he has Brilliant Authority can still kill him. I have a support on me, but he's tier 3 Warlock. So now look what I'm doing. I'm trying to get around Silver Surfer and go behind him and then use a well-timed switch or a well-timed decoy kill so Warlock doesn't die right away. And there, I once again, you have to remember that Warlock's counter is a full iframe and it ignores iframes. So take advantage of that. Jean Grey could kill Thanos. Ancient One and Destroyer can kill Thanos with a Brilliant Authority, but not with a Brilliant Conquest. So I'm going to take you into live matches that I had like a week ago, and you're going to witness me try to kill who I thought was one of the toughest Thanos teams out there. But then I met like people like King Davey. So I'm going to go over with you some of Thanos' rotations because they do vary. With the new Conquest, by the way, there's a way to cancel his skills if you have enough movement speed, but if you don't, pretty much screwed. Yeah. He basically, you know, unless he has brilliant authority, you can't just stand menacingly. Like, raw damage could kill him when he has Conquest. You're gonna see I avoided his skills. So laggy that it's unbearable. With the new Conquest CTP, it's given you the ability to use brute force more against people with Conquest, but it negates reflect like 100% more when the wall effect comes up. So it's a very significant change. Bam. Because remember, Conquest is on a timer, so if you kill him right away, like I did with Carnage, you can make it through. Raw damage, a well-timed counter, and it's a tier 3 counter, mind you. Damn, I may have screwed up. I don't want to do a counter here. Go around, try and go behind. That was going to be tough. Well-timed counter. So Thanos' AI is also complicated because you want to cancel his skills. So his AI usually does 1, then 5, then 4, and then usually repeats. So if you end up canceling them all, he ends up doing 2, which you can't really avoid, and it could still one-shot you. So Thanos' rotation is similar to that. For top teams, that rotation will kill pretty much anybody, but for others, you want to put 3 in between there, and you can also land on 2, which is a full iframe. How he took like barely any damage from Reflect. Granted, Silver Surfer, my Silver Surfer doesn't have a lot of Reflect. You see the utilization of the 2 there. Yep, make sure you don't cancel the skills. Wow, that's a first for sure. Damn, I did the freaking 5th skill so fast that it reverted to the freaking next person. Greed Wolvies are a great counter when the ambush stat comes up because it ignores defense. Oh, okay, alright. Take no damage at all. Just zero. Like, completely zero. Funny enough, Thanos with enough HP can sometimes bypass the reflect from the Toon dying as a decoy. But the 4 and the 3 will usually kill him. I'll show you what I mean. Watch right now. That's what I mean. And of course, I'm never going to beat Colossus with Destroyer. You see here, I have fast enough movement speed, so I'm able to run away from Thanos' skills. Stay. That's the freaking issue. Well, it's not an issue, but you know what I mean. Oh, for real? For real? Did I die? I'm confident I won't die, hopefully. Alright guys, we're coming towards the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and the season will be coming out shortly, starring these characters in the future, so stay tuned for that. Catch you guys in the next one.